Bertrand Russell. In all affairs, it's a healthy thing now and then to hang a question mark on the things you have long taken for granted. Advocates of capitalism are very apt to appeal to the sacred principles of liberty, which are embodied in one maxim: the fortunate must not be restrained in the exercise of tyranny over the unfortunate. Many people, when they fall in love, look for a little haven of refuge from the world, where they can be sure of being admired when they are not admirable, and praised when they are not praiseworthy. There is no nonsense so errant that it cannot be made the creed of the vast majority by adequate governmental action. The problem with the wise is they are so filled with doubts, while the dull are so certain. Gradually, by selective breeding, the congenital differences between rulers and ruled will increase until they become almost different species. A revolt of the plebs would become as unthinkable as an organized insurrection of sheep against the practice of eating mutton. Love should be a tree whose roots are deep in the earth, but whose branches extend into heaven. Bolshevism is to be reckoned with Mohammedanism rather than with Christianity and Buddhism. Christianity and Buddhism are primarily personal religions with mystical doctrines and a love of contemplation. Mohammedanism and Bolshevism are practical, social, unspiritual, concerned to win the empire of the world. Three passions, simple but overwhelmingly strong, have governed my life: the longing for love, the search for knowledge, and unbearable pity for the suffering of mankind. And if there were a God, I think it very unlikely that he would have such an uneasy vanity as to be offended by those who doubt his existence. One should as a rule respect public opinion insofar as is necessary to avoid starvation and to keep out of prison. But anything that goes beyond this is voluntary submission to an unnecessary tyranny. Passive acceptance of the teacher's wisdom is easy to most boys and girls. It involves no effort of independent thought and seems rational because the teacher knows more than his pupils. It is moreover the way to win the favor of the teacher unless he is a very exceptional man. Yet, the habit of passive acceptance is a disastrous one in later life. It causes man to seek and to accept a leader, and to accept as a leader whoever is established in that position. Men fear thought as they fear nothing else on earth. More than ruin, more even than death, thought is subversive and revolutionary. Destructive and terrible, thought is merciless to privilege, established institutions, and comfortable habits. Thought is anarchic and lawless, indifferent to authority, careless of the well-tried wisdom of the ages. Thought looks into the pit of hell and is not afraid. Thought is great and swift and free, the light of the world, and the chief glory of man. To fear love is to fear life, and those who fear life are already 3 parts dead. To understand the actual world as it is, not as we should wish it to be, is the beginning of wisdom. Even when the experts all agree, they may well be mistaken. The secret to happiness is to face the fact that the world is horrible. Next to enjoying ourselves, the next greatest pleasure consists in preventing others from enjoying themselves, or more generally, in the acquisition of power. A stupid man's report of what a clever man says can never be accurate, because he unconsciously translates what he hears into something he can understand. You must believe that you can help bring about a better world. Those who have never known the deep intimacy and the intense companionship of happy mutual love have missed the best thing that life has to give. A hallucination is a fact, not an error. What is erroneous is a judgment based upon it. We may define faith as the firm belief in something for which there is no evidence. Where there is evidence, no one speaks of faith. We do not speak of faith that 2 and 2 are 4, or that the earth is round. We only speak of faith when we wish to substitute emotion for evidence. The substitution of emotion for evidence is apt to lead to strife, since different groups substitute different emotions. One of the symptoms of an approaching nervous breakdown is the belief that one's work is terribly important. There is much pleasure to be gained from useless knowledge. We are faced with the paradoxical fact that education has become one of the chief obstacles to intelligence and freedom of thought. Collective fear stimulates herd instinct and tends to produce ferocity toward those who are not regarded as members of the herd. Do not fear to be eccentric in opinion, for every opinion now accepted was once eccentric. I believe 4 ingredients are necessary for happiness: health, warm personal relations, sufficient means to keep you from want, and successful work. More important than the curriculum is the question of the methods of teaching and the spirit in which the teaching is given. Grasshopper always wrong in argument with chicken. The trouble with the world is that the stupid are cocksure and the intelligent are full of doubt. Cruel men believe in a cruel God and use their belief to excuse their cruelty. Only kindly men believe in a kindly God, and they would be kindly in any case. The fact that an opinion has been widely held is no evidence whatever that it is not utterly absurd. War does not determine who is right, only who is left. When you want to teach children to think, you begin by treating them seriously when they are little, giving them responsibilities, talking to them candidly, providing privacy and solitude for them, and making them readers and thinkers of significant thoughts from the beginning. That's if you want to teach them to think. Prison is a severe and terrible punishment. But for me, thanks to Arthur Balfour, this was not so. I was much cheered on my arrival by the warder at the gate, who had to take particulars about me. He asked my religion, and I replied, agnostic. He asked how to spell it, and remarked with a sigh, well, there are many religions, but I suppose they all worship the same God. This remark kept me cheerful for about a week. We have, in fact, 2 kinds of morality side by side, one which we preach, but do not practice, and another which we practice, but seldom preach. Science does not aim at establishing immutable truths and eternal dogmas. Its aim is to approach the truth by successive approximations, without claiming that at any stage final and complete accuracy has been achieved. If there were in the world today any large number of people who desired their own happiness more than they desired the unhappiness of others, we could have a paradise in a few years. If an opinion contrary to your own makes you angry, that is a sign that you are subconsciously aware of having no good reason for thinking as you do. The most savage controversies are those about matters as to which there is no good evidence either way. Persecution is used in theology, not in arithmetic, because in arithmetic there is knowledge, but in theology there is only opinion. So whenever you find yourself getting angry about a difference of opinion, be on your guard. You will probably find, on examination, that your belief is going beyond what the evidence warrants. An honest politician will not be tolerated by a democracy unless he is very stupid, because only a very stupid man can honestly share the prejudices of more than half the nation. Men are born ignorant, not stupid. They are made stupid by education. Fear is the main source of superstition and one of the main sources of cruelty. To conquer fear is the beginning of wisdom. Love is wise, hatred is foolish. In this world, which is getting more and more closely interconnected, we have to learn to tolerate each other. We have to learn to put up with the fact that some people say things that we don't like. We can only live together in that way. But if we are to live together and not die together, we must learn a kind of charity and a kind of tolerance, which is absolutely vital to the continuation of human life on this planet. The time you enjoy wasting is not wasted time. Religion is based mainly upon fear. Fear of the mysterious, fear of defeat, fear of death. Fear is the parent of cruelty, and therefore it is no wonder if cruelty and religion have gone hand in hand. My own view on religion is that of Lucretius. I regard it as a disease born of fear and as a source of untold misery to the human race. The first step in a fascist movement is the combination under an energetic leader of a number of men who possess more than the average share of leisure, brutality, and stupidity. The next step is to fascinate fools and muzzle the intelligent by emotional excitement on the one hand and terrorism on the other. The whole problem with the world is that fools and fanatics are always so certain of themselves, and wiser people so full of doubts.
This was released from For the Sake of Education by Flow Wisdom. If the content was helpful, make sure to subscribe.